What's up, y'all? What's good? Welcome to the What Up Though Show. It's your boy Dame D, and I am back with another one. What's good, y'all? What's good? Sunday night conversation with your boy Dame D. I'm gonna check my audio and video, make sure everybody can hear me. What up, though? YouTube. What up, Facebook? What's up, Instagram? The comment section is definitely open. I need for you guys to make sure you comment. Your boy is still on his way to 1,000 subscribers, so make sure you hit that subscribe button on your way in. So while I wait on a few people to jump in before I start tonight's conversation, I'm just checking my audio and video to make sure you guys can hear and see me clearly. Okay, I can definitely be heard. So here we go. Here we go. So I'm just trying to let me make sure that I can be seen. Okay, then my video is good. Okay. Look like the video was good. So what's good, everybody? What's good, YouTube? What's good, Facebook? Sunday night conversation with your boy Dame D. The comment section is definitely open, and I need for you guys to hit that subscribe button on your way in. Your boy is definitely still closing down. We are less than 60 subscribers away from hitting that 1K. So we're gonna come in for a little bit, chop it up, talk about this Nolan Wells situation, man. It's been a lot more speculations and a lot more talk that's been going on around about that. So I just wanted to come in and talk about that on the eve of his autopsy. His report is coming back tomorrow. So we're definitely going to get the reports on that, but there's been a lot of more talk going on about that. So I have audio and video of that situation that I'm getting ready to play. So I just want a few more people to come in, and we're definitely going to start watching that video, and then we'll start tonight's conversation. But yeah, man, it's deep, man. This young man has lost his life, and we're going to do our due diligence about keep talking about this situation. This young man lost his life. His parents deserve justice. And, at the end of the day, what up, though, James Sanders? What's good with you, my baby? Long time no hear. Give me your thoughts and your opinion on this Nolan Wells situation, man. What do you think? There's been a lot of more evidence coming out, and then I got a video that I'm getting ready to play. Hopefully we don't have any buffering. I've been having some issues with my, with my Wi-Fi, but I have some a video of a judge, ex-Mississippi judge that, that had a lot to say about this situation, But what's good with you, James, man? How everything been going, man? I think I saw you in the last Freestyle Friday I did, but good seeing you, man. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just been a lot more speculations going on about this. It's been evidence, allegedly, that they have proof that that Nolan Wells was alive, after the 4th of July on July the 5th, that he actually made it back to land and was at a party. So let me play a little bit. I want to play a little bit of this video. Hopefully it'll play for me. If not, I'll stop. But if not, I'll just stop and do a little bit of commentary about what the judge was saying. But give me a second. I'm getting ready to bring that up. And if you guys want to come up here, let me know, James. I would love for you to come up on stage, man, and conversate with me live. But here we go. I'm about to start this up so you guys can hear this.
According to former judge, now attorney Carlos Moore, who served in a municipal court in Mississippi for a little over 6 years, someone should have been arrested by now for several different reasons. Moore, who would end up being pushed from the bench after previously speaking out against racial discrimination on social media while serving as a judge, would take to his Facebook page on Friday night for over 30 minutes to air out questionable behavior he sees with how local officials are handling the case from the inside.
It's time out for playing games. It's time to know the truth from someone well-versed in it that has actual experience. I've worn the black robe, and I've presided over these trials or preliminary hearings.
In fair use.
Let's get started. So what do we know?
Educational.
We know
entertainment purposes only.
After watching the parents' interview and reviewing tons of footage from social recounting interviews and statements that were on Horn Island. We know that Nolan Wells went to spend the night on his friend, and he went forth. We know that
Let me know if it's starting to buffer or mess up real bad, you guys.
out of the 4 people, one did not return home. That one person was Nolan Wells. The other 3 returned home as normal and said nothing to any member of law enforcement or to the Coast Guard until at least 11 p.m. at night on July the 4th. We know that at least one of the found with the phone of Nolan Wells. And we know this, the parents, specifically the mother, who tracked the phone and was led to the home of one of the young men where she retrieved the phone. We also know that based on the mother's testimony, that Snapchat, there were no Snapchats from the day, which was very odd for her son. We also know that text messages were deleted. We know that 360 said the phone. We know that the boy that had the phone did not voluntarily turn it over or call first. He had to be found through their own investigation. The so-called friends were seen on July the 5th, that Sunday, having breakfast together like
I'm probably going
nothing had
to
happened.
look like to Joe.
We know that the so-called friends deleted their social media, deactivated their accounts, and scrubbed it clean if the allegations are correct. We know that the young man that had the car at his house did not willingly turn over the keys. At first, he said that he did not have the keys. He didn't know where they were. Then he, after being pressed by the father, he finally turned over the keys.
Invite.
This is all
guys, how,
very suspicious activity.
If we having a lot of buffering, I'm gonna go ahead and stop it.
We know that
just get to my commentary
based on an audio recording and some video that Nolan Wells can be heard saying, "Give me my freaking keys." Excuse me, "Give me my freaking phone." And there's been 2 different versions. Some say he said, "Give me my freaking phone," or some say he said, "Give me my ML phone." Regardless, he was asking or demanding his phone. Someone had his phone who did not have permission to have his phone.
Right.
So the first thing I see, the simplest thing I see, is who had his phone and why. And was that theft of the phone? Sometimes we look at the largest case, we try to get to murder, but the person that took his phone committed a crime right there. There are witnesses to who took that phone. If an affidavit is signed, an arrest warrant could be signed by a judge in Mississippi to go after that person that had that phone unlawfully.
So give me your opinion on this case, Joe.
We know,
what do you think?
based on his own words, Nolan Wells' words while he was alive, he did not give whoever had that phone permission to have that phone. So was that theft? I think if an affidavit is signed, if it was presented to me when I was a judge, I would have signed an arrest warrant for the person for theft of that phone based on what I've heard. It'd have to be an affidavit format, but if it was presented to me, an affidavit format from law enforcement, I would sign the arrest warrant for, at least at this point, theft of the man's phone. We know who had it. We know who didn't report it to the family. The family had to go find it. And we know that Nolan Wells said, give it back to him. And evidently, it was not given back to him. Why was that?
Okay, we got Joe. I'm gonna go ahead and give me 1 second. Let me stop this.
College finds your room can fully match your passion. She's a science girly for real.
Hold on, Joe.
I mean, I'm trying to put you on just some peak dorm room cultivation.
All this from Walmart? Who knew?
Okay. Okay, so Joe, are you in there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, what's good? What's good, Joe? Go ahead and introduce yourself to the show, bro.
I'm Joseph Knowles. Y'all know me, the troublemaker.
What's going on, man? What's going on? Safe travels.
Yeah, man. I'm supposed to be. You know, I was on the cruise all week, so.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I saw the pictures. Yeah.
Just want to make a quick comment. We supposed to be boarding at 8:25. Like, you know, we got the cheapest tickets.
Okay,
so
well, go ahead and make a comment. Give me your thoughts, man. Nolan Wells. This young man went out on a boat trip with his white friends for the 4th of July weekend on the island and end up dead the following day. So give me your thoughts on that. It's a lot of speculation going on. Give me your thoughts and your opinion on this case.
Well, one of the reasons that I noticed is that we got too many people that want to be like Reverend Jackson, you know, and Al Sharpton. Every time there's a black issue, we want to run to it. You know, I don't really see that energy, so I got an issue with them. So Ben Crump, he's one of those ambulance chaser attorneys that jumps on these type of wagons to build momentum and to build a name for himself. So, you know, I don't think that he's in this for the right reasons anyhow. So that's just another comment. Now, as far as knowing, right? I do believe that his friends know more what happened. Cause I don't see this. If I'm with friends and I'm got lost or whatever happened, right? My friends was gonna blow it up and gonna make a real big deal about it. I didn't see that. I see they try to cover it up the best way they knew how.
All right.
And I believe that. I do believe they did something to him. I believe that. And I think there's a lot of suspicion that should be there. But I'm not quite sure if the white boy from the boat did it or a girl that he might have been trying to mess around with did it.
Yeah, well, she's been speaking up. If anybody did it, we're thinking it's the 3 friends, you know, and then I have another video that I'm getting ready to play, you know, that Ben Crump released, you know, basically allegedly stating that he made it back off of that island, back to land and was at a party. You know, so and I'm going to play video of that. You know, I'm just right now I just was playing video of the former judge out there in Mississippi, and he was just basically stating like, you know, if he was a judge still residing as a judge, like those 3 friends would have been arrested and questioned by now. You know, so yeah, you know, give me your thoughts on that, man. With the 3 friends, you know, they have not spoke up, and I believe they even lawyered up. Give me your thoughts and opinions on these so-called friends.
Let me explain something to you. They did something to him. At first, I was like, man, it could be some drowning, swimming, horse playing, but no, they did something. You know why I know they did something? Because if friends is really all your friend, they would have got the news. They would have did everything they could to try to find their friend. They didn't do enough. They went back and act like it never happened. They don't know what happened. That's not what friends do. That just let me know right there they did do something.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
You didn't make a big enough noise. You didn't make a big enough noise.
Some of the friends, but yeah, you know, if anybody knows what happened to that young man, it's the 3 friends that he actually traveled out there on the boat. You know, because you even have even video of the young man saying, "Give me my phone back. Give me my motherfucking phone."
I did see that. That means they was fighting. That means there was some fighting, some arguing, something with that.
And then now, you know, I'm getting ready to, like, after you get off, or once we're done talking, I'm gonna finish playing the video of the judge talking, and then I'm going to play this other video where you actually
Now you
where
do
you
know
actually have this conversation and them saying that. But go ahead, Joe.
his parents are wealthy. One of them, his parents, one is a judge, the dad's a judge, right? And
Right.
the mother's an attorney.
Yeah, the people who had the boat, because it's mighty strange that they were cleaning that boat off July the
Oh yeah,
5th after
listen.
the incident happened.
He probably what happened was some pushing plane. Probably fell and bust his head, bleed, probably died, and they threw him over the water. And in Mississippi, listen, this is what I'm afraid of. Instead of getting to the problem and getting to figure out what's going on, they are going to try to make this another Emmett Till type of situation. Emmett Till in 1955.
Yeah,
And I'm
right.
scared they're gonna try to do that again, make it seem like it's an Emmett Till situation. Listen,
Yeah,
it was
I
on
hope
it,
not,
it,
Joe. Because Emmett Till,
it-
his
it's
murderers are still walking around free to this day.
and it takes the focus off what really happening, and it's making this a race war. And guess what happens when a race war happens? It's focused directly on the race. It don't even focus on the
Yeah,
more of him.
I'm gonna be honest, Joe. I think the race war has already started, man, with all these
I know.
hangings that we've been hearing going on. I think we behind the eight ball, we behind the gun. We just late to the party, and they've been one by one doing what they need to do to eliminate us. But yeah, man. At the end of the
I've been
day,
in
not to
Mississippi.
get off a
I,
track. I think his friends know what happened. And just like this black judge, the video I was just playing. He said there's no way that these three friends should have not been indicted, and even they
yes,
lawyered it up, so there's
I
no
agree.
way that they should have not been arrested,
Yep.
and authorities should have not been trying to question these three so-called friends.
But I am gonna be honest. I've been in Mississippi. Me and my wife we were just in Mississippi earlier this year. Oh no, it was last year. I'm gonna be honest with you. When I went to Mississippi, it's it's different than like Detroit or Michigan or Ohio, Indiana. Mississippi is like 20 years behind. Even when I interact with the law enforcement down there, they are behind. You got some tourist areas where it's modern, right? But you got a lot of areas in Mississippi where it's behind time. So I do believe that Mississippi still has the protection of the complexion, and I do believe
Oh
that.
yeah, most definitely.
So
Most
I do
definitely they do.
believe
And I'm
that.
gonna read off. I'm gonna read off this comment. James Sanders 1027 said they did something to that kid before he drowned. He was talking to
Yeah.
a white girl, and that's a no in Mississippi. Then he got into it with one of those boys. So yeah, that's what a lot of
Hold on.
people are talking about. Go ahead, Joe.
I will say one thing about Mississippi. I have seen a lot of interracial relationships down there. That's one thing I have noticed on Mississippi. I did see a lot of white and black together. So I'm not sure if it's. I know that's changed in that way. I did see a lot of interracial relationships down there when I was down there. So I'm not sure, but it. I do believe they're not from the tourist area I was in either. So it could be some sundown type of behavior. So I listen. I'm always the one that defend. I don't always just want to just destroy white people. That's the reputation I get. But on this offense, on this account right here, I do believe they did something to that boy. I believe it.
Yeah, because all the evidence that's coming back, Joe, is pointing that the friends, they at least know something. If they don't have anything to do with his death, they know something. But I got a few more questions, and I know you're probably going to be getting ready to get out here and board your fight in a little bit. But give me your thoughts on this tomorrow's autopsy report. That they took. And then the family has one coming after this. But what do you think the results of this autopsy report is going to be tomorrow?
I believe it
Is
was
it
on head. I'm gonna tell you what I believe. I don't think that he was on no drugs, and I don't believe he was on alcohol because he doesn't look like that type of kid. You can tell a kid he looked like a pretty stand-up kid based on all the pictures I've seen. What I think what happened was there was some trauma. There was a fight, maybe a punch. There's gonna be some head trauma. I think it's gonna be physical damage, physical cuts and stuff on him. I don't believe that he's under influence, and I hope to God that he's not. Because if they
Yeah,
did, they're gonna swear to God that he drowned because he was too intoxicated. They're gonna swear to God that he drowned because he was high. Watch.
right.
I hope
Well,
that that's come back
they
clean.
talked about that. They talked about that one of the friends wanted him to do some drugs, and he said no, that he didn't want to do drugs or put no drugs in his body, meaning that he was getting ready to be getting looked at a Division I college. So that was talked about and that was spoke about. So I don't think he would jeopardize what he had coming up in the future, meaning looks and tryouts with a Division I college.
And he athletic. He's a sports guy. He can swim. He can play sports. He was an all-around kid. So I believe there was some horseplay in there. I believe that it got too far. That's what I believe. I think it went too far. It was fighting. And one thing my people do, people will cover for each other.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's ingrained in people. And listen, I don't think the white people in Mississippi are the same white people that's in Macomb County. I think white people in Mississippi stick together no matter what happens. And I do believe that. I don't care what nobody says. I know I'm gonna take a lot of heat for that.
That's just white people in general, Joe. They stick together for one cause.
Sometimes, but I do believe that Mississippi is a different area. I've been there. I've seen it. I drove through Mississippi. I've seen it. I know that it's not the same. I don't even get the same vibe. It's the same. It's part of the 50 states, but it ain't the same. So I do believe they stick together, and because they all afraid. Look, man, they young, probably about to go to college, be the degree engineer, doctors, and lawyers. I believe that they were too afraid of messing up their lives, and they see what happened when black people, get hurt nowadays. It blows up. They don't want to be part of the spotlight. I think they did something like that, and they cover it up. And hold on, the part I have an issue with is like the judge said, they had to fish out the phone from the one guy. He didn't even volunteer to get that up. That tells me you guilty in something.
Yeah, they were not trying to give the keys back to the father, nor were they trying to get the phone back to the mom. She had to send a friend out there just to get the phone back. So, like I said, man, it's a lot of
do all that, you guilty.
Go ahead, Joe.
If you gotta do all that to get information, and you gotta fish out information from people, you did it. You did something. That's just straight up. Friends don't do that. That's not what friends do.
You have a lot of people, a lot of podcasters that's going to continue talking about this situation, because we feel in our heart, man. We've seen black men and women railroaded on a lot of these cases like this, and you got the country behind his parents, man. Because they deserve justice, they deserve answers. This young man had his whole career, had a promising career ahead of him. And he entrusted these friends. With his life, and his safety, and he did not make it back home, Joe. It's a horrible situation.
What? Do you remember those girls that was in Mexico when they killed that one girl in Mexico? Remember? Yeah. They all went to Mexico and something happened. They jumped. They was supposed to be cool with it, but then when they got there, they beat her up and they killed her. And they remember how they was indicting everybody down there in Mexico. In a different country, they was making all them girls. They arrest everybody. They made everybody take ownership. It's kind of weird this didn't happen. You know why? Because it's Mississippi. And that's why. And they covered their asses because they knew the parents had names. Their parents was a judge and the parents was a lawyer. They knew this wasn't going to just fly over there easy. But let him be like a normal kid from the hood.
You see what the one parents, you see what one of the kids' parents did. They deactivated all their social media pages. Most of them lawyered up, and then there was one of the and then we talked about that. One of the parents were judges. So it's a lot of fishy shit going on, man. And I can't wait to play this next video. And just like the ex-judge that we were just listening to, man, he said he set and presided in Mississippi over a lot of these cases like that.
And they ran his ass out there.
This case came upon him, the three friends would have been indicted and they would have been interrogated by now. But go ahead.
But listen, they ran that judge out of there, Joey. Like you said, you know why they run him out? Because in Mississippi,
they ran him out of there because he would speak up about cases like this.
When you are a black person in Mississippi, you got to shut the fuck up when you take the positions. Yeah. You better have It's
called nigga stay in your place.
And I believe that. Mississippi ain't so when he said that to me, when he said that that he was a judge all day. Boy, you became a judge on a favor, and
Exactly.
he should have been quiet and not speak out. And when anybody who speaks out, because I bet you there ain't that many black judges down there in Mississippi, and you can't speak out,
He
even as a
probably was
judge, you
one
can't
out of a few. Yeah,
can't do that
and
though.
he even said, being a judge, he's not allowed to be able to speak out, on active cases or any
No,
cases, for that reason, going forward. So, but no, he's still a lawyer down there. He's still practicing, so he was pretty much kind of shining a light on how it goes down there in Mississippi. So,
I believe it.
a
I did
lot
a
of
lot of
people.
research on
Oh,
Mississippi. I
hey, Joe,
believe it.
sorry about
No, I really believe Mississippi is bad, man. I don't believe Mississippi came up with the times of the other parts of the country. I think Mississippi is about 20, 30 years behind, and I do believe there's a lot of racism going on in Mississippi. You go down there in Jackson, you go down there in some of them other sundown towns, and I seen some of it, as we were driving through. And it ain't like I'm gonna tell you right now, man. It's so behind, dude. I felt like slavery when I drove through some of those towns.
that.
They are
Yeah,
so
you heard what
behind,
this,
dude.
this You heard what the same judge said. He said, look, he said he wouldn't advise none of his family or friends to live there. He said that's why
Mm-mm.
he had to get out of there because they're still, living, living in those times down there. So
I
yeah,
do believe that.
man.
I
Yeah,
believe that.
so so we just got to be careful, man, going forward. I can't wait for this for tomorrow to get here to hear what their autopsy report is going to say.
It's
Then
still
right after
tomorrow.
that, the family has already sent out the body to Washington D.C. to get a second opinion on
You know,
for their autopsy report.
hey, dang, the mother says she haven't seen the
Go
body
ahead,
yet.
Joe.
The mother says she haven't seen her son yet. The body.
It's a chance that they may have not seen him yet.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, it
How
seemed
they?
like you
How
would
they?
have wanted to see him, but in that
No, 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 no. They
situation,
did.
they probably excuse me. Oh, you
I
know
feel like
what? They
this.
did see him because they had to identify his body. So
Okay.
they
They.
saw him original
Okay.
initially.
I just saw one video that I thought she said that she didn't see the body
And I'm
yet,
gonna read
but
off this comment. James Saunders, 1027 said they will lie and blame it on drugs or
that's what I said.
suicide. All white people in the South stick together. They're going to try to cover this up. Yeah, and Joe we just talked about that. Joe just said it. That's one thing. White people will, they will band together, in situations like that, and will take this to the grave. It's been so many blacks that's been lynched, hung, and murdered and killed, and no one has spoken up. Even like what Joe just brought up with the whole Emmett Till situation. They took that that woman took it to the grave, and the murderers are still walking free to this day.
Do you know anything about the white family and the three boys? What they parents? I mean, are they for them all to hang together? They got to be wealthy, or at least in a higher class. What the parents do? Do you know anything about that?
You talking about in this Nolan Wells case right here that we're talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
Well, I know one of the kids' parents was a judge, and I don't know about the other two. They more was focusing on the one who was a judge. Joe looked like you went out.
Oh no, do you hear me?
I can hear you though. Yeah, so go ahead. So I don't know what
No,
the other
I'm
two
looking.
parents' occupation was, but I just know the one was a judge.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at if I go out, I'm just looking. Just can you still hear me, right?
Okay, you good? You good? Look, I'm gonna play. I want to play a little bit more of this video. Joe, let me know if this video is doing, some buffering, and then I'll stop and we'll just get back to our commentary. But yeah, I want to play a little bit more of this video from this former Mississippi judge.
All right.
All of the other things I've stated, you piece it together. Is there enough right now for arrest warrants for murder? That is a good question. I do know at this point there should have been search warrants signed by a judge. By now, we are nearly 7 days after July the 4th, when he was first reported missing.
All right.
There should have been not the judge, and there needs to be, or should have been, someone questioning the young men, the three so-called friends, and others, and the social media accounts need to be searched by now, or at least a search warrant should have been issued for the appropriate entities. I'm not telling you what
Okay, Joe, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Unmute yourself, Joe. Was it doing a lot of buffering during that video?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of stopping and going.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm gonna I'll stop that video for right now. But yeah, man, and basically, like he was saying, man, he said by now they should have been interrogated and questioned by the authorities by now. So at the end of the day, man, they're like we just talked about, they're banding together, Joe. They're sticking together at one. They pretty much lawyered up. So even if the lawyers did want to talk to these young men, they would have to talk to them through their lawyers.
And
you know what I mean?
One of the white, like you said, one of the white boys' mother is a judge. So, she's a current judge. Yeah. And she was. I saw a quote. She said that she urging everyone not to spread rumors about her son. So that tells me right there is that she using her power, her pull, and that tells me is that what they doing right now. And let me tell you why nobody got arrested. Because they all right now has been counsel of how to stick to the same story. They all been counsel to be able to beat this. They did something to that kid, man. I don't give a fuck nobody says. They did something to that kid, man.
No, most definitely they did. And I got another video that I want to play. I'm just so upset that I'm going through all these buffers, but I got to
get out. I got to load up.
That. I got another little Wi-Fi extender thing that I need to hook up. But yeah, man, it's been other reports like this young man made it back, to land, and he made it. It was another party that he attended. His videos out there. Allegedly, I don't know how true these videos were, but there was reports, and I actually saw the video of him, in a pool with more of his friends and those same friends that he was with. So looked like Joe went out for a second, but yeah, man, I can't wait until tomorrow. And like I said, I'm gonna try to play this video. If Joe can't come back in because Joe is at the airport, so he's probably having a little bit of technical difficulties. But yeah, man, like this Mississippi judge said, he said, look, he presided over a lot of cases like this. If he still was a judge, if this case came through his docket, he would have been indicted these young men. He would have ordered for these young men, these so-called friends to be questioned, and they definitely would probably have been indicted, by now. So it's a lot of unanswered questions that needs to be answered going forward. Like I said, tomorrow, this young man, and I want you guys to comment. The comment section definitely is open. Give me your thoughts. Give me your opinion. What do you think? What do you think this autopsy report is going to come back with tomorrow? Do you think they're going to come back with the same old play they've been running, when it's dealing with black men and women? More than likely, in my opinion, I think they're going to try to come back with the same old bullshit, like it was an accidental drowning or some bullshit like that. Unless this young man's body was beat up to the point where, they can't cover it up and lie, because like I said, I got another video that I want to try to play. And it's it has reports basically saying that, this young man did make it back on land that night. He was at another party. It was an incident and he got into it and he was beaten up, allegedly, so it's just a lot of reports out there. It's a lot of shit. Unanswered questions, and like I said, the truth is going to come through these three friends. And I think tomorrow, once this autopsy report comes back, especially if it was some foul play, especially if it's a lot of bruising, like he was beaten or something like that, they're definitely going to be bringing charges and bringing these three friends into question. You know, and I think everybody that was out there that day that he was involved with, you know, especially the three friends that he went out there on the boat with, their phone should have been confiscated. And just like with the mom, when she got his phone back, a lot of his Snapchat, Instagram messages were deleted. You know, and she said he always used his Snapchat daily, you know, especially on an event like that. You know, so yeah, man, it's a lot of unanswered questions. So yeah, I'm gonna try to play that other video. So give me a second. I'm gonna try to load that up. You know, because it's a lot of stuff that I just wanted to bring to you guys that that was coming through my feed today. So I'm gonna try to play this video right here. So give me 1 second. I have this one queued up. All right, here we go. And fair use. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Here we go.
July the 5th, and he did return from Horn Island. And not only has attorney Benjamin Crump been posting this in his feed, he has also been reposting it in his stories. I am going to walk you through a timeline over the past 24 hours, starting with multiple emails I received with this latest development. Then I'm going to play a video for you that gives you detailed information about this new development. We're going to go over the timeline. We're going to go over what this means in the case. And then I'm going to tell you what Nolan Wells
Okay, if it start buffering a lot, you guys let me know and I'm going to come out. Hold on, you guys.
The screenshot right beside me that I will not read in detail basically states that Nolan Xavier, and he attended a party and he was alive July the 5th up until at least 3 a.m. And it is then when he got into a confrontation, and it's there where he passed away, and then they brought his body back to the water. Now, the reason why my job. So when you click on this channel, you know you're getting accurate information. As time went on, I saw a few people talking about this on Instagram. Some pages that were not so reputable, smaller pages, and I didn't think too much of it. But like I said at the top of the video, when I saw attorney Benjamin Crump post about it, that is when, to me, this story got a lot more solidified. Now, I'll be 100% honest with you. I'm not 100% convinced, and I'll show you in a minute why, because of the caption that attorney Benjamin Crump put once he posted this picture. But let me get to this. Let me tell you a little bit more about the development of the. I'm going to put two more screenshots, and then I'm going to play a video, and then we'll get into the details of what the caption said with attorney Benjamin Crump. Let's go to the next picture. Now, for those of you who want to read the details of this, feel free to pause and read the details. I will not lend my voice to this until it is 1,000,000% confirmed. Like I said, we're trusting Benjamin Crump. And here is the third screenshot. Like I said, it's basically saying he came back, he was at this party, and the picture that I showed you at the top of this video was him in the pool with his friends. Summarizes all of this. Take a listen.
So allegedly, Nolan did leave the island, and he went back to Wyatt's house for a pool party. And during that pool party, there was an altercation between Wyatt, Nolan, Evan, and somebody else. And apparently they beat Nolan to death with some sort of bar or pole. There are people that are putting out witness statements knew about the whole thing. Allegedly, they took Nolan's body back to the water, saying that this is the reason why it pinged on land at that house before they found that phone. This is why that boy told his daddy that Nolan was like a brother to me, was like a brother to me when he showed up to get his car. It's because they already knew he was gone. Is this the reason why they needed dental records? Because he was unrecognizable? This case is starting to bust wide open, and we all knew that something else happened to Nolan. Now the question is, which of the parents helped those kids?
Now you'll see I have the picture in question zoomed in here beside me on my screen. You'll see at the top corner here that there's
the little buffering issues we having. So, but yeah, you know, reports, like I said, has been talked about that this young man did make it back to land and was at a party. And I'm gonna read out a few comments. Skeeterman 2118 said, I think people will believe what they want to believe, no matter what the autopsy says. And I agree, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, hopefully that autopsy report will come back with the truth. You know, so but yeah, you know, and you heard what this young man was talking about in that video, that there were reports that this young man made it back that night. And it kind of goes back with the story what they were talking about, that that's why the body when they were out there the first day searching, you know, because they already had, and what's so crazy, they found the body already where they had searched it. You know, that's where they found the body, and they had searched that place. You know, the spot where they found this body, that was one of the first places where they found where they started to search it, I should say. You know, so it's a lot of questions that need to be answered by these three friends. I think a lot of the answers will come back from these friends once we get this autopsy report back tomorrow. You know, and even if we don't get the autopsy back report stating that it was foul play, I think that even like the Memphis judge stated, you know, I think that these friends still should be brought in for questioning, you know, because interrogated, you know, and put the pressure on them, because I think once you put the pressure on them, you know, they'll get the breaking down and maybe talking, you know. But at the end of the day, like Joe said, you know, they've already lawyered up, you know, and they're probably hiding behind their lawyer, you know, so it's going to be hard to get them to talk now or say anything, meaning that they have lawyers now, you know. So the comment section is open. You guys give me your comments. Comment. I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think that autopsy report is going to come back tomorrow? In my opinion, like I said, I think they're going to try to run the same old play that they've been running year after year. It's probably going to come back that, in my opinion, that it was a drowning with no foul play. You know, accidental drowning, I should say. Yeah, but the comment section is open. I definitely need you guys to make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Your boy is closing down on 1K subscribers. You know, so I need for you guys to hit that button. Now we got a comment that just rolled in. Can't see that right now, James. Hold on. Okay, James Sanders said, do you think these kind of incidents will become common because these kids are following some kind of racist media to target Black youth because of what Carmelo Anthony did? I'm gonna just be honest, James. This has been going on before this case happened. You know, we just recently did a video. I just recently had a show on a young man that was out of Illinois who came down to the Michigan Electric Festival, who they found hanging on a fence. So, to answer your question, I think this has already been going on. So I don't think it was because of the Carmelo Anthony case or what he did. You know, I think they're quietly, you know, slowly but surely, you know, murdering us one by one. You know, because if you do it on a broader, wider scale where you got a lot of Blacks just coming up missing at the same time, you know, most Blacks will take heed, or the mainstream media will, you know. So them doing it like how they've been doing it, you know, it's kind of like undercover, you know, incognito, you know. But, you know, we waking up, we're realizing what's going on. You know, most Blacks do not hang themselves, by hanging. You've got a lot of those, and then it's another case that just happened today, which I have not talked about yet. That I'm going to talk about. They found another young black man, hanging during this month of July. And what's going on with this month of July, man? We just been finding young black men and women hanging and coming up dead, hanging with their white friends, So we're going to have to look this up, man. It may be some type of ritual going on, or some type of something going on, because this has been an ongoing thing, James. So I don't think it has nothing to do with Carmelo Anthony, because this has been going on. I've done multiple stories about this last year. So it's just something that we have to wake up and be careful, man. You cannot be traveling to certain parts of the country without and being the only person, because situations like this will happen. We just recently did a story. You had a young woman who went to a sleepover with her white friends, and they found her the next day outside on the cement. They said she got drunk and fell over the balcony. How do you explain that? And the friends and their white friend, girlfriends, they said they didn't have no clue of what happened. And there was no charges brought upon these friends. So explain that. You go over to a sleepover with your 5 of your white female friends, and the next day they find you outside on the cement, and the results, they said that you basically fell over a 2-story balcony due to alcohol. You know what I mean? So that's crazy. So this been going on, man. So we have to wake up. We have to be careful. And I've been saying this recently after on a lot of my shorts. You have to watch who you hanging out with, or you could find yourself hanging by yourself, if you understand what I'm trying to say. With all these cases of our friends, of our people been finding themselves hanging or dead, when hanging out with these so-called white friends. Because I'm gonna be honest, we put a lot of trust, and what's so crazy, man, we will not trust our own people, but we put a lot of trust in our white friends, and you see what it's been getting a lot of our people. So we just got to be careful, man. You cannot have yourself in a situation where it's just you by yourself, because at the end of the day, man, I guarantee you alcohol has a lot to do with a lot of these cases. These motherfuckers get drunk, and they love to play games, and if you're the only black person there, guess who's going to be the butt of the joke, or the butt of the game. So you got to watch it, man. They will play games, especially if you fall asleep, and do things like that. I was in college. I was surrounded by a bunch of white friends and, classmates and things like that. So, they play a lot of crazy games, I should say, so you have to be cautious and you have to be careful, when you're dealing with, when dealing with your white friends. I'm just going to be honest, and we hate to try to make it seem like it's a racial thing, but at the end of the day, when situations like this happen, when you have a young black man that was out with a group of his white friends and he ended up dead, you have to make it a racial thing. I'm going to read off a few more comments. Let me see this. Okay, Joe said if you are going to hang like that, make sure you're alcohol and drug free, because you need to be fully alert and aware when you're impaired at your weakest spot. I agree. And what's so crazy, this young man probably didn't even drink or anything like that, and he was still vulnerable, and he still found himself dead, but yes, I agree with you 100%, Joe. In most of these situations, most people probably were drinking, doing drugs, and found themselves in a vulnerable situation. I agree. Yep. So, at the end of the day, man, that autopsy report is coming back tomorrow. And like I said, I would love to hear you guys' thoughts, your comment on that. What do you think that autopsy report is going to come back and say? In my opinion, I think it's going to come back and it's going to say accidental drowning. But like I said, man, it's been too many reports that this young man did make it back to land that day and was at parties, and the incident happened where him and his friends got into it, and he was hurt, and then that's why they say that those young men were cleaning that boat out, that someone there that there were reports of them cleaning the boat out that night, July the 5th. Yep. So yeah, man. And I wanted to continue playing that video, but it was doing a lot of buffering, so I won't play it. But they pretty much broke it down, man. What they're saying is this young man made it back on land, and something happened where he got into it, and he was unalived, and they took him back out there to that island. Because you got to ask yourself this question. If the original searchers went out there, they said that they originally found the body where they originally first searched, and then all of a sudden the next day his body show up where they already had searched, and then they were cleaning that boat out, Joe, that night before that, and then his body come up, his body surfaces the next day. So that alone, tomorrow, like this this ex-Memphis judge said, there needs to be some arrests made. There need to be some interrogations of these so-called three friends. Because they're covering something up. They're hiding something, like Joe even said. They're banding together. One of the friends' mom was a judge, so I'm quite sure she probably informed them on that, talking to the media, not saying anything. Most of them had shut their social media page down. She even shut hers down. She recently just made a few comments the other day, but yeah, for the most part, man, they're all lawyered up, and even the Memphis judge said if it was someone one of his family members, he would have suggested them to lawyer up, and that's exactly what they have done. And even one of the friends said, why even say something, or why be out there searching, because y'all already think that we had something to do with it. So man, it's just a lot of fishy stuff going on, man. I can't wait till tomorrow, until this autopsy report come back. But like I said, again, the family has done their own second autopsy report. No matter what this autopsy report comes back and say tomorrow, there's going to be still an additional second one done by the family, to be able to get, in case this autopsy report comes back, because more than likely this autopsy report is going to come back with no foul play, that this young man died accidental drowning, some type of shit like that. Guaranteed. The same old plays that they've been running. But look, man, I just want to come on and show you guys a few of these videos that's been surfacing up, coming up. There a lot of chatter been going on around social media. Read a few more of these comments. Joseph Jojo Knows made a comment. He said they have a legal team preparing for them the heat about to come. Yeah, it's definitely about to come, man. Especially if this autopsy report come back. And it's some foul play, and his body was beat up, and it was kind of, and it shows that he was murdered. It's definitely going to heat up. So at the end of the day, man, hopefully it comes back with some answers for this family, man, because at the end of the day, man, I feel for this mother and father. This young man had his whole career ahead of him, so it's heartbreaking to hear stories like that, So I'm going to continue talking about this story until we get some justice for this young man. I'm going to continue doing my due diligence. That's what we do over here on the What Up Though show. Kaden, Amani, what up, though? Yeah, so I'm going to keep talking about this story, and doing my due diligence, because like I said, at the end of the day, this young man needs some justice. The mainstream media really has not been doing their due diligence on putting this story out. So we have to continue, putting this story out and talking for this young man, as much as we can. So look, I want to thank everybody who came on to today's show. I want to thank Joseph for coming on, giving what up, though, Kaden Armani. Your name's so long, but mommy, but yeah, what up, though? Are you familiar with this case? We're talking about the young man who they found on the island who ended up dead. Nolan Wells is his name. I apologize. But yeah, I want to thank Joseph Knowles, who came on the show and gave his thoughts and his opinion on the situation. Most people think the same thing, man. Most people with all this, with all the evidence that we've saw thus far from social media, this young man looks, it looks and sounds like these three friends had something to do with this young man's death. Yeah, it is sad. Give me your opinion on that situation. Do you think, tomorrow the autopsy report is coming back tomorrow? What do you think the autopsy report is going to say? Do you think they're going to come back with an accidental drowning, or do you think they're going to come back that this young man was involved in a homicide? But again, I want to thank everybody who commented on tonight's show. I just want to come in and show those videos that I showed, and I apologize again. I'm trying to get this little Wi-Fi situation taken care of. Hopefully you guys were able to see most of the video or the important parts that I was trying to show of this video. But look, I need for you guys to make sure that you're hitting that subscribe button. Again, your boy is knocking on the door of 1K subscribers. We're definitely knocking on the door. Joseph Knowles made another comment. He said, what about the police shooting with the state police in Detroit? I'm not familiar with that one, Joe. I'm going to have to look that one up. And I want to come back. I have not talked about, and you know what, Joe? And I wish you still was in here. I want to talk, and I may come back tonight after this and come back and talk about that shooting at the other, not Fairlane Mall, but what was the other mall that just happened? Yeah, Great Lakes shooting. Yeah, I want to come back and thanks Kaden about that. Yeah, the Great Lakes shooting, man, it's horrible. What's going on with our people, and there was some more YNs. So it's making us look horrible as a group, as a race. With these mall shootings. In a minute, man. They're not going to be allowing these YNs out at the mall. And what's so crazy about that, man? We're talking about these white people that's been hanging and murdering and doing these things to our people. But, on the other hand, we still continuing to kill and shoot our own people. That's fucked up. We getting killed both ways, by our own people, and by our counterparts. That's crazy. Yeah, and I wouldn't be upset, and that's what's going to happen. These white folks are going to shut these malls down. Or if not, they're not going to allow for certain people, to be out at the malls. They're going to have the motherfucking police pretty much not stereotyping, but policing and making sure, just basically harassing motherfuckers before they get to the mall, not wanting you out there. So yeah, I may come back and talk about that, because that was a senseless shooting. Someone else lost their life, I believe, in that situation. I got to go back and look it up a little bit more. Yeah, but it's sad, especially even with that Fairlane shooting, it was a senseless shooting, and most of the times when they doing this senseless shooting, the motherfuckers that they trying to shoot don't even get shot. But yeah, again, man, hopefully this autopsy report come back tomorrow with a little bit of clarity for his family, because this young man his family deserves clarity on what happened to him. He went out there with friends to celebrate for the 4th of July and lost his life. So again, we have to watch the friends that we hang out with, or you can find yourself hanging by yourself. So look, I want to thank everybody who commented. I want to thank Joseph for coming on the show, giving his thoughts and his opinion on the situation. Like I said, hopefully tomorrow we'll get a little bit more clarity with this autopsy report. If not, again, like I said, the family has already sent his body out for a second autopsy report. So, hopefully if they try to run some bullshit, more than likely they will, we'll get the answers that we're looking for, in the second autopsy report. So again, I need you guys to hit that subscribe button. Your boy is knocking on the door of 1K subscribers, and I cannot do it without you guys going over there. So everybody on Facebook, go over to YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and then you can go back over on Facebook and continue watching your boy. But yeah, man, and I think I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back and talk about that Great Lakes shooting, and these mall shootings, and then at the end of the day, man, we're talking about how we can't trust our white friends. It's almost like shit. We can't trust our own selves neither. With all these goddamn unnecessary, senseless shooting. So yeah, man. Give me you guys' opinion on that. What do you think about that? We're talking about how we can't trust our white friends, but on the other end, we still hearing about these senseless shootings, every single day. Not even at the mall, just throughout the city. I can turn on Channel 4 and probably hear about 3 or 4 shootings throughout the city. It's a horrible situation, man. We got to get it together, especially if we're trying to build. So look, again, I want to thank everybody for their comments. I want to thank everybody who came on the show. And tomorrow, hopefully, we'll have some answers for this young man. This young man had his whole career ahead of him, was in college, getting ready to have tryouts for Division I football. So, this whole man had his whole life ahead of him, and trusted his friends with his life, went out there on an island to celebrate and end up losing his life. Horrible situation. So like I said, at the end of the day, man, we have to watch who we're hanging with, or you can find yourself hanging by yourself. So again, I want to thank everybody, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Your boy is bearing down on 1K. It's a goal that we set out a few years ago when we started this. So look, I'm not going to hold you guys up. And again, I'm probably going to come back and talk a little bit about these mall shootings going on. I've been talking, a lot about, white on black crime, but at the end of the day, we need to continue talking about this black on black crime with these mall shootings and these senseless shootings throughout the city. So look, I want to thank everybody who made a comment. I want to thank Joseph for coming on the show, giving his thoughts and his opinion. It's another one. It's your boy, Dame D, and I am out. Peace.